Well, no, I totally agree with that. And I think one of the big things with that is I always equate it back to the ideas in the shower. Everybody has great ideas in the shower, but only about 2% of them ever come to fruition. And a part of that's execution. And so being able to have a plan and then work that plan all the way through execution is organization, 100%. And so that's very, very good explanation on why that is important. But obviously, when we get into just the conversation of organization and like in the scope of youth ministry as a whole, youth ministry is a cog with a wheel with a lot of moving parts. And there are a lot of things that happen, a lot of things that are going seasonally, some that are going year round. But so what are some specific things in ministry that will be more efficient as you learn to be more organized?
Well, I think it affects everything. And once again, I want to also point out that I wasn't born organized. Okay. This is, nobody is born organized per se. Nobody is, learning how to do certain things at very young ages. And your personality may dictate some of that. But as a skill, it's something we're always learning. It's something that I had to learn. If you looked at me as a younger youth pastor, you would clearly tell that I was disorganized, that somehow I didn't put A and B together, or I only thought that my ideas counted, or I thought my schedule was the only one that counted. And so I want people that are listening and watching to know that this is something I've learned over time, and how it impacts the rest of youth ministry is the fact that you operate on monthly or quarterly. There's some people who plan events monthly, or they're general in their youth meetings. I mean, you have to organize your teaching calendar. You have to organize your preaching calendar. You have to organize your Sunday school class. You have to decide whether you're going to use A curriculum or B curriculum. And that has to be put in at a certain time for you to be able to get that back at a certain time. Your camps, that's a critical area. If your camp is not organized, if you don't have your van rented, if you're planning your own camp and you don't have facilities rented, if you don't have your guest speaker booked, things like trips. Like I said, if you're renting a bus, if you don't have a certain amount of adult volunteers that you need to have for that event. And also, I think really critical is being organized in things like the bigger paradigms like discipleship. How does discipleship work? How is that organized? How is that put into a process that makes sense to whether you're doing a retreat at the beginning of the year, or it's an ongoing one-to-one, or or even if you just slot into your organizational chart where you're going to be experimenting with things. Everything doesn't have to be permanent. Some things can be experimental, but that is also organized. You can't just immediately announce. The worst thing I ever did to my adult volunteers, and God bless them if they should ever listen to this, I am sorry for last-minute decisions that I just made, that I did not prep you for, right? That I should have prepped you weeks in advance, maybe even months in advance. But because this young brain had an idea, I thought it would be good to do that without actually checking with people. So I want to be able to say that that being organized impacts every area of your youth ministry. It impacts everything from you being on time for your staff meetings to you making sure that your adult volunteers know when your meetings are, when you are having a meeting. And so whether it's a Zoom meeting, whether it's a 10-minute call, whatever those things are, all that results on the youth leader having the cognizance of saying that has to make it on the calendar, in my phone, on a Post-it note, wherever that needs to be. All of those organizational factors have to go into that. And of course, that's scalable. In the youth ministry I'm in now, if I have a dozen kids where only X amount of parents go, to church there, and I have other kids that are there whose parents don't attend church, then I have to work a little bit hard to get in touch with those parents for certain activities and things of that nature. But if you have a large ministry, and I would say large these days is maybe 50 and above, where you have to, that size will dictate the level of organization that you need to be in. Not that you can't be organized with a dozen kids. You still have to be organized. I still have to figure out, like I'm taking kids on a retreat this weekend. I have to make sure that we don't have a church band. So I have to say, well, okay, we're going to meet at the gas station, right? I have to let everybody know we're meeting at the gas station because it's local, right? As I said, all right, meet me at the gas station. I'll pick you guys up there and then we'll head out. Or if I have a student who lives further away, I have to, like I talked with a parent last night and said, hey, do you need me to pick them up on the way, or do you need me to, or are you going to drive them to the camp? Are students driving their own vehicles, or are you picking them up? There's all those little factors that sometimes parents don't even know what their child is doing. And so you have to be organized, even if you have 12 kids or you have 50 kids or you have 100 kids, it's all scalable. And all the tools that, we talk about, you just have to scale it to the degree that you are required to, that is going to help your youth ministry flow to the best of its ability.